Hi everyone, Scott here with another Aperture experience for you. So last week I was working through a few photos and I messed up some of the metadata unknowingly at the time. But I was able to quickly correct it using a metadata preset. So I thought I'd show a little more about that feature of Aperture. To understand how I used the presets to fix my particular problem, I also need to show you the presets I use for importing my photos. So let's start there. Now, if you've never used metadata presets before, you can find them all in your Info tab under the Gear menu, and you'll see a bunch of different things here. I'm going to pop right in here to Manage Presets. Now, one of the presets I use quite often is this thing I have called Basic Import Information. Any preset you create is going to have all these various fields that you can use to specify whatever data is interesting to you. For me on import, I certainly want to set my contact information. I will use keywords, and if I scroll down here, I also tend to record the city, state, country where the photo was taken, and finally copyright information. And for my workflow, I also set a label to red. So with this defined, I can now use this information as part of the import flow. Let's take a look at that. So let's import some photos using this new metadata preset. I had a visit to Davenport, California a little over a week ago. Took some great pictures there. And let's import these into Aperture and use our basic import info metadata preset that we just created. If you're not seeing this pane in your import window, just select it from the import settings. So you can see the data I provided in the presets automatically filled in, and the other fields that I had selected, although didn't provide default values for, are also here. So when I import as part of my workflow, I tend to clear the keyword values. Just as a precaution, I'm usually bringing something in directly off the camera. There's no keywords to be found. But every once in a while, if I have to re-import something like a JPEG, like I'm doing for this demo, I'll clear these values. And the rest of it, I can just put in the important information, setting my label, go ahead and click Import. Those fly right into Aperture. Thank you very much. And pick an image, look at the info pane, and we'll see that information from our preset has been filled in quite nicely. And that's true for all of the pictures we brought in. Now, where things get interesting, you'll also notice I had previously tagged these images with their locations. I love places, big fan of it. What I found out as once I dropped them on the map, some of these images were in Davenport, California. Some were in another city. And we can use a different metadata preset, we can create one, to correct that metadata. So let's take a look at using a preset to fix up metadata for, in this case, location. Okay, so let's pop over to Places and see where these photos actually were taken. So we can see I've got 5 photos that ended up in Davenport, California, although 2 of them, which were a little bit farther down the coast, were actually in Santa Cruz. I guess somewhere around here is the border between Santa Cruz and Davenport. So let's zoom into the Santa Cruz ones. I've got these 2 pictures. And sure enough, because of my import, they've come in as Davenport, California. Now, of course, there's only 2 of them here. I could simply, type in Santa Cruz and be done with it. But what if I've got, 50, 100, 200, 500 images? That becomes, tedious very fast. So what we can do is define a new metadata preset to clean this up. So first I want to select both my images, and I'll go to the Gear menu in my Info pane to Manage Presets. Now, you can see here's the basic import info we defined before, and I happen to have quite a number of location metadata presets, as I've made this mistake more than once. I happen to have one already for Santa Cruz, and all I have selected is in the IPTC image area, city, state, and country. I've specified what I want for the values, so I have my metadata preset set already. If I needed to create another one, I could create a new one. I tend to duplicate one that I have already since it's already got most of the things selected for me. It's a very simple process. I'll leave that to you as an exercise. Now what we can do with that preset is quickly change the metadata. I don't want to append in this case because I don't want it to say Davenport and Santa Cruz, but after I replace with Santa Cruz, pop, it's created that one, it's changed that one. Let's back up and make sure that I've gotten all of my, whoops, that's my issue. I have filters on. Let's make sure this one is now Santa Cruz, but the remaining ones are still Davenport. They were not selected when I'd changed the metadata using that preset. So again, check out these metadata presets. They can be really handy, really useful. You can see I have a handful of them here. I sometimes use them to clear keywords if I've forgotten to do that during import. Play with it a lot when I'm working in places, and once I've dropped something on the map and I know precisely what city it's in, I often have to go in and modify that. Maybe I'm pedantic. I just tend to like things to be more accurate than not. So again, hope you found that useful. If you like it, leave a comment and be sure to visit the blog. And I hope to have another one of these posted when I have another cool tip to share. Thanks very much.